Hello, my name is Carl Peel. I'm the district coordinator for AARP's driver safety program here in Helena, Montana. Our district includes Lewis and Clark County, Broadwater County, and Marr County, and the northern half of Jefferson County. We teach classes to generally senior citizens, people 55 and older. We teach them things about, refresh their memories, their driving skills on issues regarding aging, changes in roads, laws, our bodies, and vehicles. And the aim is to reduce the possibility they would be involved in a highway crash. So hopefully to make them safer drivers and be more comfortable behind the wheel. And as we get older, then we talk about alternatives to driving, other ways to get around.
So, is this a national program?
It is a national program that has AARP's had this program for about 40 years for older drivers. One of the benefits of that, besides being less likely to be involved in a crash, is state law does require that insurance companies give people a discount on their auto insurance for people that have taken the class.
And what's your role as coordinator?
My role as coordinator is to schedule classes, to make sure we have instructors to teach the classes, arrange for host facilities like this one that we're at today, which is the First Interstate Bank here on Colonial Drive. And we schedule that with the host to make sure we have a place to hold our classes.
So first off, welcome to the AARP Smart Driver class. We're exceedingly, exceptionally glad that you're here. My co-instructor is Bob Summers back there, and he'll give you his credentials when the time comes. My name is Ray Page, and my qualifications to instruct this class as a volunteer are, I guess it comes back to about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. I was sitting right about there where Kara was sitting, and took the class from Carl, our director. And Carl got to the end of the class, and he said, you know, we're always looking for volunteer instructors. Well, I'm a retired teacher who had just recently moved to Helena. And so I said, well, gosh, that just kind of couples in, you know, with what I can do. And so from then on, Carl has not let me out of his grasp. He keeps pretty tight grip here. But it's been a great experience. I'm a retired school teacher, you know, so if there's any hanky-panky goes on here, I'll be able to handle it.
Passing notes.
Under the, in the back of the bus, whatever. So, yeah. And you know, basically, I guess the reason I took this opportunity was I came from a real small town in central Montana. And in this town, small towns, everybody contributes something to the community. And I was a teacher, so I contributed to the ambulance as an EMT for 20 years. I was on the fire department, I was in search and rescue, you know, so you did all those things that made a community go. And so when I moved to Helena, I realized, you know, I'm not contributing back to the community here. Obviously, not equal scenarios. And so I went and joined the search and rescue. And I was an active member there for a while, but I realized search and rescue was kind of for younger bodies, you know. They climb mountains in the dead of winter or swim better than I, and so I got out of that. But anyway, that's my qualifications. You know, I guess the one thing that if there's something to remember, the first thing to remember from this class is going to be about change. Change. We're all changing. And we're going to talk about this the whole day. Now speaking of changes, you know, our bladders change too. And so the bathrooms are down the hall here and to the left, okay? So when you go into the left to the bathroom, don't turn in that first turn, because that'll take you that hallway right there, and that'll take you straight outside.
No.
And so you want to stay inside today. Yeah. We encourage you to get up and stand around and move. Make sure you stay comfortable and things like that. If it gets cold, let us know. We just found out this morning that the power was off here by that power down there, power pole down there, and the power was off. Somebody ran into the pole, so they had power was off here. But I think we're back up and running today, and we're good to go. Okay. Now, one little caveat that I ask you to abide by is, you know, we're in a kind of a funny time of our country, and we do have, you know, events when things kind of go sour. And so if we have something here, we're in a bank, and we're kind of in an area where things could go sour, could be an assault or a robbery or whatever. And so if that happens, and we need to get out of the room here, what we ask you to do is go ahead and leave. Okay, go outside in the parking lot. Bob or I will have the roster checklist for the class, and we'll be able to check and say, hey, yeah, Mike got out just before the building blew up. And so, or Don, or Mary, whatever. And so we'll check those off just to make sure that when your rich uncle calls and say, you know, I've got this Michael in my will, is he still alive? And yep, he's alive. So that's you know the reason for it. It's just a precaution. If the situation warrants that we're not going to finish class, we're going to turn you loose and let you go home. If not, we'll come back in and finish. Sound fair? Okay. All right. So in Unit 1 here, the book you have is for yours to keep and to have and hold. And so we ask you to add plenty of notes to yourself. We're going to cover a lot of material, and it's hard to keep it straight in your mind. So take little notes. We'll review. But once you take notes, then you'll be in business. Okay. So you know, first off, our objective here is to increase your confidence in driving. As we get older, our driving skills get less. We're going to know how to drive, how to share the road. Lots of different road users out there now. We're going to obviously learn the safety and advancements in drivers. We're going to learn probably the hardest part of this course in the end is when we probably should not be driving. And I say we. There's a time comes when we should not be driving. We're going to cover that too. And then also we're going to explore other ways of travel. Once you aren't able to drive, another way of travel. Okay? So, first off, we're going to get you off and running here with videos. We have videos that go on pretty regular, and they're pretty good. It's all about change. Remember, our class is about change.
Yes, I'm a safe driver. I've been driving for about 60 years now.
As we age, we slow down a little bit.
Older drivers have lost a little bit, and sometimes they don't realize it. They've lost a little in vision, hearing, and reactions.
If we recognize that we slow down, then we have to make adjustments.
I would imagine I'm a very safe driver. I've been driving for over 55 years.
The world is moving along quickly. There are going to be more older drivers. Not everybody has the same skill level. Not everybody has the same visual level. Not everybody has the same ability to respond as we do in our cars. We have to be proactive in driving rather than reactive in driving.
To most Americans, being able to drive as long as possible is critical, not just to transportation, but their very sense of identity.
You know, the last thing I want to do is to be a burden on my family. So I'm going to keep driving as long as I can.
Driving means more than getting from point A to point B. It means freedom, independence, and control. But driving today isn't like it used to be.
It's a different world today, totally different world, with texting and tweeting, and I don't even know what tweeting is. So I don't do it.
The world is changing very quickly,
every day, and we tend not to want to change. But to stay ahead of what's happening every day, we have to be aware of the changes and to adapt to them. The most dangerous thing, people on their phones, they're talking on their cell phones.
Over 33,000 people are killed in crashes on the nation's highways every year. And when you factor in the 90% portion that's attributed to driver behavior, we can make a significant dent in driving that number down.
Older drivers as a group do have fewer crashes, but they also have more crashes per mile driven. And if there is a crash, they are more likely to be injured or killed.
We may have practiced skills for 40 years, but our capabilities do change. That doesn't mean we need to give up driving altogether, but we often need to make some adjustments so that we can do it safely.
I would say the only thing that is permanent in our lives is change. Change comes, and the ability to adapt to it is really the key to successful aging.
When I think of driver safety training, I worry that it might imply that something's wrong. And really, that's not what it's about. It's taking a class just to make sure you have all the information so you can make the choices that you want to make. I think the most important thing a person can do to remain a safe driver is to be honest with themselves, to honestly reflect on what their strengths and weaknesses are.
There are a lot more signs on the road that you have to be aware of, than when I first started driving.
You know, it used to be fun to drive, but now, I don't know, I think it's a little more nerve-wracking than it used to be, but I don't have a choice. I need to get out there and do things. It's just not fun.
By taking the driver course, will not just improve their confidence behind the wheel, but improve their knowledge of when they go to shop for a new car, how to use new technology. Most importantly, awareness of themselves and the people around them, how their changes in their physical body and medications and health conditions affect their ability to be safe, as well as changes out on the road. But the ability to know that they can do something about it, that they can plan transitions when driving is no longer an option, and that this course gave them the knowledge to have the power to age well.
Okay, class dismissed.
Nice job.
I'll stay over here. Any questions? Once again, our theme is what? Change. Yeah. And I'm kind of lucky here because I have quite a few Marys, and so we'll keep their attention pretty easy. Yeah. Okay, so in your book, on page 3, this is going to kind of show the route that this class is going to take. And the top vehicle there, number 1, that's where we are right now. Okay, and so our next unit is going to be when we're in the changes. And as we go down, this is going to be the route we take. Okay, so that's how you kind of follow along. Now the next page 4, is a little pre-course quiz here. And I kind of decided to make Bob the person that was going to give you the bad news. We're going to have tests. Okay, but I won't know. So anyway, little pre-course quiz here, and I'm going to give you just about 2 or 3 minutes to go through this real quickly, and then we'll go over them as a group and continue on. So go ahead and begin that. let's take a look at these. Okay, number one, the benefits from attending an AARP Smart Driver course include, and of course the answer is all the above, D and Delta. Number two, typical challenges for older drivers include, and once again it includes all the above, the answer is D, as in Delta. Number three, which of the following types of medications are potentially dangerous in a driving situation? And once again, 3 is D, as in Delta. And number 4, a smart driver knows that this amount of alcohol can impair our driving. And the answer to that is 1 drink. We're impaired to some extent with 1 drink. Number 5, every 4-way, 2-lane intersection has how many possible conflict points for vehicles? And the answer to that is 32. Did anybody get it right? If you did, great.
I was amazed.
Great, because I never can get it right. Okay, number 6, roundabouts are found to result in crashes than traditional intersections. The answer is fewer. Fewer. Number 7, which is not a safe strategy for highway driving? And that's C, as in Charlie, changing lanes without using your turn signals. You kind of like it, wear out those turn signals if you can. Okay. Number 8, which key driving strategies are? Okay, there's some key driving strategies are, and that's all the above, as in D. And 9, warning signs of unsafe driving is C. Driving too slowly, other drivers often honk their horns at you. And 10, how do you keep someone who has a problem with driving? How do you help them? Okay? And once again, the answer is D, all the above on those. Okay, so any questions on those? I think what you're going to see here, when you turn your page over to page 6, we're talking about some national driving statistics here. And you're going to find that we are pretty good drivers. All in all, we're pretty good drivers. As you can see on the graph on the bottom of page 6 there, when you get out to a little bit past 69, then you can see the graph starts to go up. And that's our category. And so, you know, we become still good drivers, just that there's some other things involved there that make us more susceptible to crashes. In Montana, there are about 22,000 crashes per year, okay? And about just kind of an average rural, about 80% of fatalities are intersections. So that's where we want to be real careful when we're driving. Okay. Generally, the cause of these is driving off the road or failing to use right of way. Okay. And you can see on page 7 there are some state-specific information. Once again, road departure talked about that, and failure to yield right of way. And once again, we're pretty good drivers until we get up there. All right, real knowledge check on page 8. You'll find we'll be rolling right along here, so stick with us. Number 1, roads and vehicles, as well as our own blank, have changed over years. And that's F, as in bodies. Our bodies have changed. And number 2, some of the changes we face can affect our ability to C, drive safely. Put these answers down. Typical problem situations for older drivers include making left turns, especially intersections, blank, to yield the right of way and blank into another traffic lane. First answer is B, failing. And the second answer is A, increase. Number 5, if involved in a crash, older drivers and older passengers
Wait,
are
wait,
more.
wait, can you go back?
Which one?
On number 3,
Yeah,
potential problem situation increase into another traffic lane, isn't it merging?
no, it's failing.
Failing was the
right away.
first, and isn't it merging into another
Yeah,
traffic
merging
lane?
the second one.
Okay.
Is that not what I said?
Oh,
No.
Okay.
you said A, it's D.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so we've got, crash-related deaths per mile driven. Okay, increase as we get older, in 70, that's 8 for 4. 5, if involved in a crash, older drivers and older passengers are more likely to be killed than younger people. This course should help us keep our driving knowledge and skills current. This course will provide strategies to help our choices in becoming involved in a crash. Chances of becoming involved in a crash as H. Okay, reduce. And 8, this course will help us identify blank that are available if and when we have trips that we want to make without driving. And the answer to that is G, local travel options. Okay, any questions on those? Questions on those? So that's basically unit 1. What happens here is Bob is going to take unit 2. And so we kind of trade off as the day goes on, and we overlap and we correct and everything along the way. So any questions so far? This is where we're off and running to. Okay? Bob, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bring that ends up here. Good afternoon to all of you, and like Ray, I want to thank you for coming out on what is really a rather cold day. And this is, I guess, one of the warmer days this week. I have to tell you, I was down in Arizona and just got back into Montana on the night of February the 1st. And but then we flew back into Bozeman, then drove to the north part of Yellowstone, and we were able to do some cross-country skiing. But of course, it was very cold there too. So the change when we left Arizona, it was about 69 degrees. Of course, when we got into Yellowstone, it was like 0 or so. So it's been quite an adjustment, but glad to be back in any case. So my name is Bob Summerer. My reason for being here as an instructor is kind of similar to Ray. My wife and I both have taken an AARP driver safety course. We've taken a number of them. And I was just impressed with the amount of knowledge that was transmitted to people. And I thought it was something I would like to do too. I've been involved with teaching in some ways. My background is in engineering way back, and then more recently in medicine. So I retired from the VA here locally, and I've taught some as well. And the last teaching I did was at Helena College and taught some math there back in 2010. So, and this is a way to give back to the community, just like Ray had mentioned. And it's fun. We make this course fun, and we contribute a lot, I think, to people driving better. So, we'll go into chapter 2. So look at in your workbooks. We'll begin kind of on page your page. Your page 2.7, I think. No, it's 9. 2.9. Okay, the medication tips. Yes, this is useful. Many of us, as we grow older, have some medication issues. I still have a page that begins here 2.7, but and actually starts 2.5, what's changing, and the introduction, and where we begin though is with medications on 2.9. So Important, some medical conditions at the bottom I'm sorry, in your book it's 11, so forgive me. Some medical conditions do put limitations on our ability to drive, and some of the functional problems that need to be concerned about is the inability to recognize potentially dangerous situations, inability to react quickly enough to avoid dangerous situations, temporarily losing control of your vehicle's speed or direction, and forgetting how to travel a familiar route. On your page 12, certain medical conditions that may affect your driving, look at that table. Alcoholism, a big one. Okay? You know that the state of Montana suffers significantly in terms of DUI being one of the highest. We have one of the highest rates in the country, and we still fight with that. Arthritis, severe arthritis can cause sufficient damage and limitation of motion to make it difficult to drive. Sometimes assistive devices may help. Dementia and memory disorders, number 3 in that table. If you have severe dementia and memory loss, you should not drive. Clinical depression, driving in that circumstance should only be done when you are on appropriate medications, you've been stabilized and under a doctor's care. Diabetes, have to understand the condition and make sure that you have proper medical supervision and that your blood levels, diet, and medication are all appropriate to prevent complications. High or low blood pressure, that can be an issue because, of course, it's a risk factor for stroke as well, and you need to have the blood pressure cared for and brought down to an appropriate level as well. On page 13, another table continues with Parkinson's disease, seizure disorders, sleep disorders, strokes. All of these need to be at least stabilized before getting behind a wheel. The after effects of surgery, thyroid disease, and visual conditions. Obviously, you have to have reasonable levels of vision and also hearing to drive. Anyone want to who might know what the legal limit for alcohol blood level is?
0.08.
That's exactly right. And if you had a commercial driver's license, you're a truck driver with a CDL, the level is 0.02. Yes. They're really only safe level when you look at the top of the table on your page 14. The only really safe level is a blood alcohol concentration of BAC of 0. Even at 0.01 to 0.03, impairment begins. And when you get up to that level that you just mentioned, Don, the 0.08, you know, the risk of a crash actually goes up 6 to 10 times, even at that level. It's kind of shocking. Yep. Note that all 50 states and the District of Columbia have laws making it a crime to drive with a blood alcohol level of 0.08 or above. So, okay, I'm going to go to one of our videos here, the medications video, and that will review quite a bit of what we just talked about.
As we age, our metabolism changes, and the medicines we take will affect us differently.
As people get older, there are a lot of physiologic changes to our bodies that will affect the way our medication will respond in the body.
I'm doing okay. Actually, I'm doing pretty good for my age.
Well, I like to think that I haven't let myself get old. In my head, I'm still a kid. I like to think I'm vibrant.
No matter what age, we should be careful with the medications we take. The side effects could be potentially hazardous.
We have different types of medications that can affect our ability to drive, and this can cause visual changes. They can also cause dizziness, confusion, and even drowsiness. Examples of this might include antihistamines, pain medications, medications that have been used to treat blood pressure and even depression.
Well, we look at ourselves and see, do we have medical issues? Are we going to the doctor more? And that's a good place to start, to talk to the doctor and say, the medication that you're putting me on, doctor, is it going to affect my driving? Or is there other medication that we can use so it doesn't affect my driving?
Over-the-counter medicines, including supplements, may have side effects that interact with the prescription drugs you may be taking.
If you go over the counter, we do have supplements that a lot of patients or a lot of people tend to buy, and sometimes they use this to replace nutrients in their body, but in the process, they also end up affecting the effects of some of the medications that they're taking. So it is important to notify your physician or your pharmacist that in addition to the medication that you're taking, you're planning on either buying a vitamin C or even a multivitamin, because sometimes patients might tend to take a lot, and this can end up affecting them.
Alcohol can also interact with prescription and over-the-counter drugs. Consult with your doctor or pharmacist before you combine alcohol and drugs.
The right way to take medications is as prescribed by your physician, and usually we as pharmacists would recommend that patients stick to one pharmacy so that we're able to reconcile the number of medications that they're taking, so that we can be able to counsel them on any types of adverse effects that they might be experiencing, as well as notify the physician if there happen to be any drug interactions or even medications interacting with their medical conditions.
It's important to be aware of how the medications you take can affect your ability to drive safely.
If you have any medications that you are taking, please read the warning labels to make sure that they will not impair your judgment as you're driving, because this can affect other drivers around you.
And not only do we need a good doctor to know what those meds do, we need a good doctor and a good pharmacist to figure out what those impacts are going to be. So between the natural changes of strength and flexibility and vision to chronic disease and the medications we take, these are the things that we must be aware of, manage well, to be able to stay safely and seamlessly on the road.